I invite you today and join me as we explore Kapitel Yud Gimel, chapter 13 of Tehillim, which, according to Chazal, Dovid Hamelech wrote with the 4 periods of Galus in mind, even though they would take place in the future. Perhaps the most confusing thing about this Kapitel is it starts off where Dovid Hamelech describes feelings of abandonment, feelings of being disheartened. Ad ona tishkacheni netzach. How long will you abandon me forever? But he concludes with tremendous words of happiness and hope, as he says, "V'ani b'chaslecha v'tachti," that I have learned to trust you in the past, and therefore yogel libi b'yeshuasecha. I will be able to rejoice and be hopeful for the future salvations that will take place, even now that I am currently in a difficult situation. How does Dovid Hamelech go from one extreme of disheartenment and feelings of abandonment to feelings of hope and joy? And I believe the answer can be found in the psukim in between, where Dovid Hamelech changes his perspective from those of abandonment or being turned away from to clinging to Hashem, to davening to Hashem. Instead of feeling that Hashem has turned away from him, he sees this as an opportunity to come closer to Hashem, to cry out to Hashem. The worse the situation, the more he needs Hashem, and therefore it's an opportunity to cry out and to come closer. And that is the transition that enables him to go from a feeling of abandonment to a feeling of hope. Because when we feel Hashem is there, even though it's difficult and hard and harsh and perhaps even terrible, if we cling to Hashem and we daven to Hashem, we can have hope for the future, that Hashem will bring tremendous salvations. And the reason this is possible is because we know that Hashem is always with us, and Hashem is mashkiach on us and takes care of us. And even when things are bad and difficult and harsh, we know that Hashem is doing it for a reason. So we need to be careful not to interpret the experiences we're having as abandonment, but rather they're opportunities for us to come closer to Hashem and to daven harder and to hold on stronger. This transition and process reminds me of a famous story of 2 tzaddikim, of Rabbi Elimelech of Lezhinsk and of Zusha Vanipoli, 2 brothers that had traveled together often. One time they were captured by the Russians and they were imprisoned and they were placed into a dark cell which had no amenities, of course. It was cold and wet and damp, and they were only given a bucket in order to be able to go to the bathroom. And after a period of time, Rabbi Elimelech looked over and he saw his brother Reb Zusha despondent and sad. And he said to him, "Zusha, what's the matter? Why are you sad?" He said, "I'm sad because we have this pail here, this bucket, that's filled with garbage and refuse. And it smells so badly that I'm not able to daven mincha. So I'm sad that I can't daven mincha now. I would like to daven to Hashem." Rabbi Elimelech turned to his brother and he said, "Zusha, don't be sad. Just like Hashem wants you to daven to Him when you're able to, so too Hashem wants you not to daven to Him when there is something in the way, when there is this bad smell in the room. And therefore, just as you fulfill Hashem's ratzon when you daven to Hashem, you're fulfilling Hashem's ratzon by not davening to Hashem." Zusha looks up and a look of joy spreads across his face. Indeed, we're fulfilling Hashem's ratzon by not davening now. And he was so excited and he was so happy by this new inspiration that he got up and he danced and he grabs his brother's hands and together they're dancing around. The Russian guards hear the commotion and they come and they see these 2 men who are supposed to be in this terrible dark prison and they're supposed to be sad and depressed and they're singing and they're dancing. And he hears what they're saying. They're singing about the pail of garbage that's in the middle of the room that's for some reason causing them tremendous joy. So the guard, in an effort to torture his prisoners, goes into the cell, takes out the garbage pail, and leaves them alone without it, thinking that this will take away their joy. And of course, this only led to greater joy. Then now they were able to daven mincha like they wanted to do originally. And I believe this same transition took place here with these 2 tzaddikim, as Dovid Hamelech has been describing in this capital. And that even though things may look difficult and challenging and awful and may even smell terrible, if we look at it differently and we see that Hashem is here with us, even in these circumstances, or perhaps it's even a greater opportunity to cling to Hashem because of these circumstances, then we are able to be joyful and hopeful for the future salvation. And now let us explore the words. We are going to follow the approach of the Malbim, who really explains that there are two main concepts. There are two main interpretations that are made initially by Dovid Hamelech, and he will follow those two interpretations throughout the entire capital. The two perspectives are found in the second pasuk of this capital. Ad ona Hashem tishkacheni. How long will it be that Hashem will forget about me? There is one perspective of shikha, of being forgotten, and there's a second one of hastaras panim, when he says, Ad ona taster panecha mimeni. How long will you turn your face away from me? The difference between these two perspectives, explains the Malbim, is shikha is when we feel like Hashem has abandoned us, has forgotten us, which means that things could be going well in our life, in which we can be successful in our lives and our businesses. But we don't feel Hashem. We feel like we are without a God protecting us or guiding us. And there's another feeling that's called hastaras panim. And that perspective is when things are going bad, where perhaps the enemies are attacking us, where we feel that Hashem is being mashkiach, Hashem is directing the events that are occurring to us in the world, but they feel like Hashem has turned his face away from us and is not helping us, but rather is either punishing us or leaving us to be affected and attacked by the enemies that surround us. And therefore, we will follow through and we will see how those two perspectives will change in our feelings. And then Dovid Hamelech in his response, again, will follow those two perspectives as he changes how he is interpreting the things that are going on around him in the world. This is a praise that was written by Dovid Hamelech. Ad ono Hashem tishkocheni netzach. How long will it be that you will abandon me, Hashem? It feels like it is forever. Ad ono taster es panecha mimeni. And how long will you hide your face from me? Again, these are the two perspectives that we will continue to see. So following the first perspective of shikha, of being forgotten, Dovid Hamelech says, Ad ono oshis atzos benafshi. How long will I need to make plans for my aid? Yogin bilvavi yomam. And I will have to deal with the feelings of anxiety and grief that are in my heart during the day. What does it mean during the day? So the Malbim and the Radak both explained it with a feeling and emotion that I believe many of us feel today. And that is, even when I am successful and even when I have to deal in a business that seems to be prospering, I feel myself exhausted. I feel ridden with anxiety. I'm not able to focus even on my successes and even in the things that are going well because of all of the difficulties that are occurring, either because I'm feeling abandoned, left alone, or perhaps today, like we feel the trauma that's going on around us, prevents us from even being able to focus properly in area of success that should be bringing us happiness. And with the second perspective, with one of hastaras panim, Dovid Hamelech continues and says, Ad ono yorim oivi olai. How long will my enemies triumph over me? Because they are attacking me and I feel their oppression. And therefore in this pasuk we are seeing where David is feeling despondent. He is feeling abandoned, as that is the way he is interpreting the events that are around him. But now in pasuk Dalet he changes that. He cries out to Hashem and he says, Abito, look at me. Anani, answer me, Hashem Elokai, Hashem my God. Ho'ire einai, light up my eyes, pen ishan hamoves, lest I fall into the sleep of death. And this too is a continuation of the first feeling of shikha, where I feel that Hashem has forgotten me. He is not seeing me. He is not with me. So we ask Hashem to open our eyes, to let us feel His light, so that we don't continue to slide into this feeling of abandonment and death. And for the second feeling of hastaras panim, Dovid Hamelech says, Pen yomer oivi ochaltiv. lest my enemies are able to say that they are able to defeat me. Tzara yagilu ki amrit, and my tormentors will rejoice when I fall. And here we are responding to the atrocities and the feelings of defeat that come from Astaras Panim. And we ask Hashem to help us overcome our difficulties, to defeat our enemies, so that they will not rejoice at our failures. And therefore, when we reach out to Hashem and we cling to Hashem even in these times of difficulties, and we don't give in to the feelings of abandonment, we are able to then be hopeful and look to the future. And I have trusted in you in the past, in your chesed and in your love. And therefore I now have the ability to look to the future and have hope. And my heart will rejoice in your future salvations. Ashira Hashem, I will sing to Hashem, ki gomal alai, because He will deal kindly with me. And now, as we continue to be in a time of war, and we are experiencing all sorts of tragedies and afflictions and difficulties, and as anti-Semitism continues to grow across the world, and we feel fear everywhere, let us not give in to feelings of abandonment or feelings that Hashem has turned against us, but rather let us use this as an opportunity to come closer to Hashem, to daven to Him more, to reach out to Him and cling to Him with greater strength and effort. And therefore, this will lead to hope, and we will be able to look forward to the future salvation. And we can even rejoice now to some extent, knowing that Hashem will bring about a tremendous salvation, as we know He will do kindness with us in the future. If you would like to make sure that you receive these videos in the future, please log on to the website chinuchcoach.com. After a couple seconds, a pop-up will appear and you'll be able to input your email address to sign up for these weekly videos.